To that last video, hopefully you got the chance to put together your additional rooms. So we should have our bathroom set up and then also our hall set up. Also, please check to make sure that you have created your layers for each of your additional room objects as well. So remember, all your walls, your floors, and your ceilings should all have their individual layers. Again, this just makes it easier for you later on when you're taking any sort of like renders or anything. Yeah, you can kind of hide objects without having to like unnecessarily move them. All right, so what we're going to get into next is a pretty critical part about any rooms or just any housing in general. If you take a look over here, we kind of have our own little sections. One of the big drawbacks, though, to this setup right now is that there's just no way to enter or exit any of these rooms. So that's the next thing that we're going to work on. We're going to set it up first of all by working on our doorways. We're gonna start off with a door guide. So I'm gonna go into my create menu, polygon primitives, and we're gonna choose the square next to cube. In our settings, yeah, we're gonna kind of keep in mind our previous settings. So if you remember, we were kind of putting in all of our information on here. The key thing to remember is our height of our walls. So if you remember, they were all 8 feet all the way around. Didn't matter which room. We're going to keep that in mind when we're kind of figuring out our doorway height. Now we're going to create a cube that'll be almost like a way for us to kind of trace out our doorways in our walls. So we definitely have to keep it below 8 feet. It is a little bit weird if you have a doorway that goes all the way to this from floor to ceiling. So we'll keep it maybe about 6.75. Yeah, should accommodate most people at that height. The other thing we're going to keep in mind is normal door widths. So a doorway width would be approximately about like 3 feet, and we'll also put in some depth. So this is going to be more to make sure that we can see the door guide in front and in back of a wall. So we'll keep that at about 2 feet. If you remember, our walls were at I think half a foot prior. Yeah. So again, we're just going to go with 3, 6.75, and 2. Then we can go ahead and click on create. This will create our door guide. I'm going to use my move tool. Yeah, so pressing W or going to your move tool over here, just to get our door guide out and outside of our room. Now, our rooms. One thing you notice right off the bat is that again, this one is submerged. Yeah, so we did have a 6.75 height. Yes, or I guess that'd be about 6 foot 8 inches, about approximately. If we were to convert that now, what I'm going to ask you to do next is we're going to kind of stay in our move tool. Yeah, so remember again, that's W. And then if you notice your pivot point, yeah, so whenever you're creating a fresh object, it's going to show up right in the center. Yeah, so this is what our pivot point is right over here, this little yellow dot right in the middle. You'll also notice that any of your manipulators, yeah, so arrows, or if it's your rotation circles, or even your scale cubes, yeah, they all originate from that one center point. Yeah, and then if you notice between each face, it's kind of like right in the center. Yeah. What we're gonna do is we're gonna adjust where this pivot point goes. Yeah, so right now, again, the default usually is in the center. We want these at one of these lower corners. So if you notice, I'm rotating our view, so we're kind of looking at this from the bottom. I'm going to click on, and on the keyboard press D. Yeah, and what you'll notice immediately after I press D is that the look of the manipulator has changed. So now we have like a slightly larger yellow circle in the center. Okay, this is our pivot point. If you press D, that lets you edit where your pivot point is located. Yeah, so right now we're in pivot point mode. I'm also gonna now, okay, hold down V with my I'm gonna be holding down V. I'm gonna also click on this yellow dot and kind of drag it down. And what you're gonna notice is that this dot is very much magnetic. It likes, and this is, sorry, when we press V, that's snap mode. So we're snapping, and it's gonna look for our vertices, yeah, which is where edges kind of intersect, yeah. So wherever edges intersect, there's like a little point, yeah. So if you notice, as I go across the bottom, it's gonna latch onto these corners. Now I'm gonna ask you to choose one of these corners. It honestly doesn't matter which of the four corners at the bottom you're selecting, but if you can make sure that it's latched onto one of those. Okay, so again, we're holding down V and letting and moving it around until we find a good spot. Once we have found a good spot, we're then gonna jump out of this mode by pressing D, and that'll take us from pivot point mode out into just our regular selection tool. Yeah, so you see our scale manipulator came back. I'm gonna jump back into my move tool, so you can click on here or press W. Okay, and then we're gonna use this pivot point right here to snap the bottom of this door guide to our floor. Yeah, so probably the best angle to do that is gonna be the front view. So I'm gonna hit my space bar, jump to that one. Okay, and then I want this on the ground right over here. So we can use the snap tool even if we're not in pivot point mode. So I'm gonna press down V here. Okay, you're gonna notice it turns into the circle right over here. And then if I snap it and jump it up, what that's gonna do is it's gonna jump it right onto the ground. Okay, so it's gonna look for those kinds of surfaces. If I drag this up even further, it'll jump like directly, like almost teleport right to the top of the room. Yeah, and then so like it kind of like will give you an either or, not both. Yeah, so here either your ground floor or you're on top of the walls. Yeah, so either of those. I'm gonna make sure that it's hooked up to the bottom of the floor though. All right, so that's another way where we can kind of get your object without having to do any math. We snapped it to the ground, yeah. If you notice, this is right on top of the grid. If you were to do the math, 6.75, yeah, this is half of that right over there, so 3.375. Yeah, but we didn't have to do any math. For some people, that might be like, ooh, that's a plus. All right. Now the other thing we're gonna do here is this is our door guide. Yeah. So I should have named it earlier, but I'm gonna name this now. Yeah. So this is my door guide. We're gonna use this for three doors. Yeah, three doors. The first door that we're gonna use it for though is for our hall. We're gonna put this in our south wall. Yeah. So our south wall. This will basically be our entrance into the house. Yeah, which currently is not possible unless you're Spider-Man, or just extremely desperate. What we're gonna do here now though is kind of use this door guide um, as kind of a way to trace out our doorway. Yeah, so we're gonna kind of use this, use these boundaries. Yeah, so again, remember it's 3 feet by, was it 3 feet by 6.75. This time I'm gonna go into my mesh tools and we're going to use, this is I think the first time we're going into here, mesh tools, and we're gonna choose the insert edge loop option. Yeah, and the insert edge loop option, I'll go to the square just in case, but and reset it to make sure that it's set to the same settings you have. You may want to do that as well. Now I can kind of close this up, but what the mesh tools insert edge loop allows you to do is create additional edges. Yeah, so if you notice, our wall turned from green to blue. These blue lines are edges. Okay, what I'm going to do is click on, and I want to create a nice vertical line that matches up right on this right side or east side of this door guide. So I'm going to click on one of the horizontal lines and click and drag, and you notice it creates a dotted vertical line. I'm going to have that drop off right on the edge of this door guide. Yeah, so there's one side. I'm also going to do the other side. You'll notice I'm going to leave this area alone and I'm going to actually start from the other side. The reason why is anytime we're doing any insert edges, yeah, and I'm going to hit this one right here. Unfortunately, when you're doing insert edge, it will not let you cross over. So for example, if I'm right here, if I try to go to the left, you notice it just kind of stops me there. If I try to go to the right, it stops me over there. Yeah, so um, uh, like, yeah, you have to kind of have your own open area to work with. Okay, now we almost have the entirety of the guide. So you notice I have my left and my right guide are vertical lines are in place. I'm gonna match up for the top as well. Yeah, so again, going to my going into here, mesh tools, insert edge loop. This time I'm gonna go and find one of the vertical lines, click and drag and drop off a nice little horizontal line right at the top of this guide. Yeah, and if you notice, that kind of gives me everything I need really, as far as the pattern for the doorway goes. Yeah. Okay. Now you may notice, like, if you ever mess up on this, you can always do a Command Z. If you notice that's only cutting off a portion, you may have to go into Q, yes, which is the selection tool over here, and then you may have to re-choose object mode, yeah, before you reset this. But mine turned out okay. All right, so what I'm gonna do next is I have my pattern. Yeah, I've cut it over there. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this door guide and just using the X direction for the move tool. Yeah, so pressing W, I'm gonna move this out of the way because I just needed that pattern. Yeah, so this is gonna be reused definitely to get into the other rooms. Now I'm gonna take a look at this hall south wall, and then when I click on it, my edges are still going to be there, right? Okay, and so there's my boundaries. I'm then going to right click and go into face mode. Okay, and this will make your faces active, yeah, so any flat surfaces, yeah, that are surrounded by edges, they'll be selectable now. I'm definitely going to select this face right here, okay, and then press the delete key on my keyboard. Okay, and that'll get rid of this side of the wall. If I look on the other side though, it looks like I still got to get rid of that. So I'm going to click on this one more time. Second face that I'm deleting. Okay, and then now I should be able to get into the hall. Last but not least, we're going to have this little bit of an artifact down here. This is your bottom of the wall that was there, but is like currently has been broken into now. So I'm going to select that one and delete as well. Yeah, so there's my three faces that I've deleted. Okay, now what you notice here is, okay, pretty successful. Now we're able to get into the hall. One thing that is a little strange is that we can now see into our walls, which is really kind of doesn't have a good look to it. Looks very thin, and also like, yeah, it's just odd. You normally aren't going to see through the side into a wall. Yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to patch this area up. So we're going to go back to mesh tools. This time though, we're going to choose the append to polygon tool. Okay, and this is a great way to kind of close up faces. This only works on open edges. Yeah, so if you notice, I'm going to click on this edge right over here, this vertical edge. Okay, and what you notice is other edges will turn that magenta. The ones that turn that color are the only edges that are eligible for me to connect to. Yeah, so it will not let me connect to anything that already has like is completely surrounded by faces. Yeah, but it definitely needs a face that's going from here to here. So here's my first click. I let go. Now I'm going to go across the street, do this one right here, click again, and what that'll do is it'll create a nice pink face over there. You can then hit return to lock that in. Okay, and that closes up that gap. Okay, now you may notice that the colors are a little bit weird. It's going from green to black over here, and that's because it's not quite sure how to display. We'll fix this up after. So again, we did one append here. If you can continue with the append, so again, mesh tools, append to polygon, you can go 1 and then 2 right here and hit return. Okay, and then you can do that one more time. You can go mesh to append to polygon. By the way, if you ever use a tool and you want to reuse it, although append to polygon does not have its own shortcut, yes, if you notice, we don't have its own shortcut. If you want to reuse it and it's the most recent tool that you used, all you have to do is press G. Yeah, so if you press G as in good, it will let you use your most recent tool. Yeah, so you can run with that. Yeah, but again, don't forget where this goes. Yeah, because we're gonna have to use it. Don't forget where append to polygon is, because we're gonna have to use this tool a few more times. All right, so that's our doorway. Again, we have that weird discoloration. Right now, these three faces are not sure whether it wants to be like a really, really hard edge or have a softer curvy edge. What we're gonna tell it is like kind of like choose. So we're gonna go into mesh display up here. Okay, and then we're gonna choose the harden edge, and you're gonna see it like happen in real time. What'll happen is the color will just kind of like become more uniform. Yeah, and all this is saying is like, okay, that's the hardened edge is now in effect. Yeah, so it kind of matches a little bit more with the aesthetic. All right, so that's one of our doorways. Yeah, we still aren't able to get into our main room, and maybe even more um, critical is we're not able to get into the bathroom. Yeah, so I'm gonna ask you now to create those other two. Um, so we can still use our door guide. If you notice when I was moving it around, I was only moving it around in the x-axis, so it's still on the ground. For this one, we're probably, yeah, so I'm going to kind of move this over. You probably notice that it is facing kind of in the wrong direction right now. It's a little bit too thin. Yeah, so like, yeah, if you walked in, some people may actually have to walk in sideways. So what we'll do instead is we'll rotate this door guide. Okay, and so we can go into our rotate tool. Yeah, so that's this one right here. We can your shortcut for that is E. Okay, then we can begin to rotate. Basically, your rotate Y is going to have to be 90 degrees. Yeah. Now, I did rotate it, but my pivot point is on this front left corner, so you notice it kind of moved out of the wall. I'll just use the move tool to drag it back in. Yeah, and we'll try to get it somewhat centered. Yeah, it doesn't have to be perfect. All right. Okay, so that looks pretty good. There's my door guide in place. Okay, what I'm now gonna do here is the same thing, right? We're gonna use our insert edge loop. Yeah, so feel free to do that. I'll try to find a good angle if that'll work. Okay, again, mesh tools, insert edge loop. I'm gonna do this a lot quicker now. So again, horizontal line, click and drag to make our vertical lines, 1 and 2, and then vertical line, click and drag to make our top horizontal line. Okay, thank you very much, door guide. We don't need that anymore, so I'm gonna press Q, which is getting us to our selection tool. Select the door guide. Oops. All right, may have to go into object mode first. Yeah, so right click object mode. Okay, and then I'm gonna place this probably where I want the bathroom doorway to go. So that looks like maybe about here. Looks pretty good. Again though, I do have my doorway pattern in here, so I can go into right click, go into face mode, boom, one, select two, select three, okay, and then close this up. So same thing, go into append tool, so mesh tool, append to polygon, 1 and 2. I can go into mesh tools, append to polygon if I want again, but also I can use a recent tool. Yeah, so if I want to use a recent tool, I can just press G. Okay, and then that'll let me go 1 and 2. Okay, and then once again, it'll jump me out of that tool, so I got press G to bring it back. And then let's see, I got 1, and then I have 2. Yeah. By the way, if you ever notice anything weird happening, like if you are in that tool and you click, then you accidentally like end up clicking like that, and you notice like, oh, you're creating like this blade or whatever, all that means is that you missed. It's okay, just accept that this happened. You can hit return. Okay, and then you can always do a command Z to undo it. Yeah, so that'll let you undo it. The other thing you can do also, so if you have something like this and you like maybe did a few things and then you only notice this afterwards, is you can just right click, go into face mode, select the face. Yeah, and you'll see like, okay, what it kind of looks like, even if it's bisecting another face. You can go ahead and hit the delete key, and that'll get rid of it. All right. So again, that may end up happening to you. Yeah. So just an FYI. But yeah, we're back to the mesh tool, append to polygon. Click on one side, click on the other. Boom. Hit return. Last but not least, we're gonna kind of make the edges a lot more angular. Again, we have that weird discoloration, so mesh display, harden that edge. Boom, we're good with there. Okay, and then we can head over to the bathroom. Same thing. Yeah, so we're just gonna do the same. Yeah, horizontal, horizontal, vertical. Okay, and then my doorway guide. I might actually be done with this. So my door guide, I can kind of move that up. I may actually end up deleting that. But yeah, well, actually, I'll end up deleting this. That's gone. Okay, and then same thing with the bathroom doorway. Yeah, face mode one. Select delete, select delete, select delete. Here's our append. 1 and 2. 1 and 2. Oops. 1 and 2. There we go. Okay, and one more. And then once again, cleaning up the look, so hardening that edge. All right, and then last but not least, I'm gonna ask to see if you can create a window. Now, I'm not gonna ask you to create a window guide or anything, but right at this west wall, oh sorry, east wall, if you can go ahead and create a large window. Yeah, so we're gonna kind of go with the large window over here. Okay, again, I'm not giving you any specific dimensions, just want you to kind of practice with the tool a little bit. Okay, and then once you got it, yeah, remember to do your deletes. Yeah, this one, because it is a window, it'll be off the ground, so you don't have to worry about cleaning up that one additional piece. Yeah, we're just gonna be deleting front and back. Yeah, but then, and then afterwards, here's our append, right? Same setup. This time though, instead of appending 3 times, you're gonna do a 4th time. And then that should do it. Once again, you'll notice that wall can support multiple, yeah, insert edges, yeah, and then it can also support, yeah, so like these edges over here, don't delete them, yeah, please make sure you do keep those there. They're there for it, it just kind of like it adds support, yeah, so you want to leave those even though you're not going to see them when we're, so if I go harden edge, once I click outside, you're not going to see those edges anymore, yeah, but they are important because they are kind of holding the structure, yeah, the visual integrity of that particular wall. All right, but that should just about do it. So here is our layout for our house. We are going to be coming back to this. I'm actually going to give you folks a more updated version of the layout, and we can kind of use that to do like more working with materials and also lighting. So that'll be coming up. But for now, yeah, we have our main structure.